Picture this. A husband pays the bills, keeps the lights on, even puts the down payment on their house, but then the wife cheats. Okay, but it gets a lot worse. Accuses him of abuse, gets him kicked out. We're talking about a stay-at-home mom here. Gets him kicked out of his own house, but it gets a lot worse. Moves in her boyfriend, who gets her pregnant while she expects her husband, and you're not going to believe this, to continue covering the mortgage, the utilities, the groceries, and the internet. Basically paying to support the guy who's sleeping with his wife who's about to have a baby with her. You can't make this stuff up. So now he's in court fighting to get his house back, all while she's accusing him of being abusive to keep him out of the house that he paid for. Unbelievable court hearing. Shout out to court archives. No more wasting time. Let's get into it.
She expects my client to support her boyfriend, and their new child. She demands money. She demands gas in her car. She demands groceries. She demands diapers. And in fact, he believes that her boyfriend is working out of the marital home using the internet he's paying for. This person that she claimed in her responsive declaration was only a friend and whom now she is 5 months pregnant by.
Wow.
I don't receive any support through the state for my other child that lives in the home who's 10 from a previous relationship. And I don't receive any kind of support for my significant other who I am pregnant with right now.
That's sad. That's all.
Okay. Sir, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Besides, that's just a very greedy lady. No, ma'am.
This is our motion, and we are asking that for a number of items. We are asking that the court adopt our parenting plan, although we would like to modify that request with regard to the residential schedule. The parties since August have been doing a 50-50 week on, week off schedule, exchanging on Sundays at 5 p.m. And that seems to be working, and the children seem to be doing well under that schedule. So my client is asking that the court adopt that schedule as part of the parenting plan versus what the local rule schedule was that we put in there initially.
Ms. Lowe, are you in agreement with that change to the visitation schedule? Are you objecting to the proposal made?
Yes, Your Honor, I agree. That's the schedule that we've been maintaining since we agreed upon separation, and it seems to be the healthiest for the children and working out the best. So I agree with the petitioner's amendment to not go with their original parenting plan, but follow with the week on, week off that we've been doing since separation.
All right, so he's got 50-50 custody. That's a good thing. He gets to see his kids. That's good.
Okay. So, and I'm just going to make sure, and again, I know I'm kind of pinch hitting here, so I want to make sure right now we're still on motions for temporary orders, correct?
Yes, this is the first hearing on this case, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
So we are also asking that my client wants to return to the family home, and I can get into that argument in a minute. We addressed in the motion our request regarding temporary use and possession of the vehicles and property in their current possession, payment of bills. I think that was it, and child support. She in her responsive pleadings requested spousal support, although she did not make a specific request as to an amount.
And still wants to hit him with spousal support? Come on.
As to the marital home, my client did not agree to moving out despite mom's assertions that he did. The text messages do not reflect that he was in agreement with this option, and in fact, he never agreed to any of it. She demanded he moved out. She barked orders. She told him exactly how it was going to be, and that's what he was stuck with, or at least he felt that he was stuck with. He has a separate property interest in the home from an inheritance that was constituted the down payment. And Your Honor, the fact is, it's my client who can afford the home. She can't afford to stay in the home on her own. She's not working, and that is by choice. And she has since moved her boyfriend in. This person that she claimed in her responsive declaration was only a friend and whom now she is 5 months pregnant by. So her representation to the court that this individual was just a support friend and just a good friend, no, it wasn't. which validates my client's accounting of the facts in this case. The situation mom is currently in is of her own doing because of her choices. That does not relieve her of the responsibility now to support herself and to equally support her children. She expects my client to support her boyfriend, and their new child. And so where is her boyfriend's obligation? That's what we have to ask. Why should my client be paying for a house to live, for him to live in rent free?
As he's clapping the cheeks as we speak. I'm sorry. We have to be honest about what's going on here in the situations, because these are adult dynamics that do take place, right? I had somebody recently comment. They said, hey, I really hope younger men are watching this. Yeah. You need to be very careful, because you can't outsmart the system. Once you've figured out what you want out of this life, if you want to build a family, have kids. And I know there are people out there who value different things, right? Sometimes people look at this and it deters them completely from maybe starting a family or scares them. But for a lot of people who want that in the future, what I hope that it does is that you're very, very careful about the woman who you choose to settle down with, marry, have kids with. To have another man doing who knows what with your wife in your house that you're still paying for, this is just pain that no man should go through, right? Let's talk about the sponsor of this channel, fathershaverights.com. Engaged and soon to be married men, a single prenup slip up can cost you tens of thousands later. Waiting until the last minute or signing under pressure are the mistakes that sink most agreements. My step-by-step guide at fathershaverights.com, built with expert attorneys James Sexton and the lead attorney, shows you exactly how to avoid every costly prenup mistake, all for the price of a couple of dinner dates. Tap the link pinned to the top of the comment section to safeguard your future and join the hundreds of soon-to-be husbands protecting their marriages the right way.
He's not paying rent. And my client is not only the out spouse, but the expectations that she places on him in the text messages are untenable and unfair. She demands money. She demands gas in her car. She demands groceries. She demands diapers. He doesn't mind those things, but he is also paying for her housing. He's paying the utilities. And in fact, he believes that her boyfriend is working out of the marital home using the internet he's paying for. My client is continuing to pay for the internet and the utilities to make sure that they're paid, and so his credit doesn't get affected, and to make sure his children are safe. But he is seriously being taken advantage of here. That being said, there is absolutely no reason she cannot be working and as the court is aware, we just agreed to a 50-50 residential schedule. So that means that there's no reason she can't be working on her off weeks from the children.
Right.
I'd like to point out for the court that she did not file a proposed parenting plan. She did not file a financial declaration. We have no idea what her expenses are, what her income is, if she has any. She needs to get a job. If her boyfriend isn't working, he needs to be. If he isn't working, then he needs to. If he is working, then he needs to pay rent, thereby reducing my client's obligation. He can choose to pay rent to my client, or he can find his own place. My client is paying for everything right now and has been since this whole thing occurred,
Disgusting.
where she just picked up and left with no notice for a month and 3 weeks, and then just expects him to be out of the house, expects it to be in perfect shape, perfect condition upon her return. My client wanted me to address the flea situation and the messiness of the house. The house is not as messy as she tries to represent. And here this guy is trying to take care of these kids and take care of kittens that she initially brought in. She decided to foster a bunch of flea-ridden kittens, and she brought them in the house. The flea issue started because of her. And then she tried to blame it on him, and now she's trying to use this declaration and this court process to say that it's him, it's his fault, it's his neglect, which is not the case. She also made some serious allegations about assault, and then talked to my client subsequently, wherein she informed him that, well, the last time they were together, she just didn't want to.
By the way, guys, that might be blocked there. She says she accused him of SA, right? SA. That is taking advantage of somebody sexually. And the attorney says last time she really wasn't in the mood. Let's keep listening.
Never once did she say no. Never once did she ask him to stop. She never yelled. She never screamed. She never cried. She never called the police. She never sought a restraining order. Even now, in response to our motion, she's not even seeking any kind of protection order or restraining order against my client. She has no fear. You can't consent to something and then turn around and claim it to be an assault just because it wasn't something you wanted
Right.
at the time. If you didn't want it at the time, you need to speak up. You need to fight back. She didn't.
Right.
So she can't come now to the court and say that my client is an abuser and he sexually assaulted her. Not to mention the fact that it was not in the middle of a fight. It did not occur out of rage or extreme emotions. It just occurred. They're a married couple. As to requests for her spousal support, she makes no specific requests. She provides no financial documents. We have no idea what the status is of her boyfriend. And she is simply claiming that because they were married and during the marriage, she got to be the stay-at-home mom, she should continue to live that life of luxury just after it was her decision to end the marriage, and not have to support herself or equally support the children.
And she filed for divorce? Oh, no. And she filed for divorce? And by the way, the reason why she's not seeking any type of protective order or trying to have any serious consequences for that accusation of SA is because she's simply lying, and she knows she's lying. Somebody who would move a boyfriend in before her divorce is finalized and be sleeping with that man and get pregnant is what we're talking about here. Obviously, doesn't have any problems with sleeping well at night and is liable to tell a big fat lie.
So we are asking that our motion be granted, Your Honor.
Right. Ms. Lowe, I have also received your response. I did not receive a proposed parenting plan from you, but I have received your response to the petitioner's proposed parenting plan. What would you like the court to know?
Well, Your Honor, there's many discrepancies in the petitioner's responses. I would just like the court to know that we had a mutual agreement when I wanted to get divorced that he would move out of the house. There was abuse in the relationship. That's why I left the home, marital home, during the time so that he could move out and it was safe. So when I returned, I have text messages showing that he knew I was at the airport. I was on my way home. He was preparing one of the vehicles for me. And originally he had said I could live in the marital home for a year. And then after I got back, everything changed. I am also 2 months pregnant, not 5 months pregnant. In regards to the assault.
Oh, 2 months instead of 5 months. Oh, that makes everything better. Everybody, it's 2 months instead of 5 months. What?
I did cry. I did say no. I don't feel like it's necessarily appropriate for court, especially with me with no counsel, but I can't afford counsel at this time. I've done everything in my ability so far of filing TANF and filing for child support. I have thrown out many suggestions to the petitioner, such as splitting the mortgage on the marital home or him not paying the mortgage at all and me just continuing to raise the children in the marital home. I've been a stay-at-home mom since the birth of both of our children. So for those reasons, that's why I asked to stay. And that was our agreement. And he was moved out when I came back. So
And
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
And there's another adult living in the house with you at this time?
There is. I don't receive any support through the state for my other child that lives in the home who's 10 from a previous relationship, and I don't receive any kind of support for my significant other who I am pregnant with right now.
And is your significant other who's living in the marital house with you paying any of the expenses for the home?
No, Your Honor. But
No, he's not. That dude's walking around in his boxers, watching TV, scratching his balls, and really disrespecting and defiling this marriage. This is terrible.
I have offered to start paying expenses in the home. I've never asked the petitioner to pay the mortgage. It was his conclusion that he was going to keep doing it. He said he didn't want the power to go out on the children. But my only request was to stay in the marital home and raise my children. I'm very flexible on everything else, but because this is a first hearing, we haven't gotten that far, and I can't afford counsel at this time. So I'm just kind of
And then
doing what I'm able to.
the period of time that you left Washington was about a month and a half. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the children stayed in the home with Mr. Lowe.
Yes, Your Honor.
So what I'm going to do, going through the petitioner's proposed temporary parenting plan, give you my ruling, and then Ms. Petrie, if you would be so kind as to make any changes per my order. I'll open it up for questions too. Jump in if anyone has questions as I go through this.
All right.
So number one, in general, I'll adopt the petitioner's proposed plan with some changes. After review of the record, while I do think there is some evidence of probably more like 3B problems on mother's part, I am going to reserve for now on 3A and B limiting factors. We'll reserve those for the final order. Decision making at this time, for school, educational, healthcare will be joint. I will adopt dispute resolution and custodian section 6 and 7 as written. The parenting time schedule, I will adopt with the oral agreement that the parties have made here on the record today. That will include numbers 9 and 10 for summer schedule and holiday schedule. I don't see it directly in here, but I am going to order that Mr. Lowe remain in the marital home at this time. Do not believe it's appropriate for this court to order that Mr. Lowe pay expenses of this home while a new significant other is in the home. I also don't believe, without further investigation, that it's appropriate that the children at this time be expected to reside with a significant other that the court knows nothing about.
Right.
So Mr. Lowe is to return to the home. Ms. Lowe is to vacate. Mr. Lowe will be responsible for payment of the, and I believe you had that listed in your original motion, all of the expenses related to the home. Yes, which includes the mortgage, utilities, insurance, property taxes, vehicle. All of that will be the responsibility of petitioner. As I understand it, this is a 5-year marriage. I'm not ordering support at this time. I'm not ordering any sort of alimony or marital payments to Ms. Lowe at this time in a temporary order. I will adopt 11, 12, 13, 14 as proposed by petitioner.
Okay. I just have to say this, man. You got to think about how crazy this is. Because people will try to figure out any which way when they're looking at situations where a woman decides to break off a marriage. They'll try to think of like, well, what happened? He must have done something. This woman right here is the problem. And he obviously picked a wife, someone to marry who had to have shown giant red flags leading up to this marriage. You got to think about how you can leave a man who can provide for you financially and you choose to be unemployed. You're choosing that. And he can afford to put you in that position. And the next person you choose to impregnate you is what sounds like a jobless man who can't afford to take care of the kids you're going to have with him and the kids who you've had with other men and hasn't contributed financially, what it sounds like, in any form or fashion. And all that he's good for is clapping your cheeks, getting you pregnant, and digging you into a deeper hole. We can't even sit here and pretend like we don't hear these stories often where a man will be like, yeah, dude, she left me and cheated for a bum who doesn't even have his own place, man. The dude stays with his parents, and the guy will be there confused and shocked, not realize these women are lost. They're lost, right? It's like I hate to bring this up, but it's just so fitting, the Cardi B situation. Left a man for cheating, went to go get pregnant by another NFL football player who has 4 other women pregnant. And she said, oh, he said he would heal me for my trauma and stress. You mean what is this, man? What world are we living in? All you can do is pray and hope. First of all, if you're not in this situation, there's lots of men who could have ended up, gotten some crazy chick pregnant. Be grateful. After that, sexual discipline. Choose the woman who you plan to marry and have kids with wisely. Be careful about things like a stay-at-home mom dynamic. If you're marrying a woman, more on that later.
I'm going over to the temporary family law order that petitioner proposed. So I will adopt in its entirety then the temporary family law order, which does require that the petitioner or allow the petitioner to return to the home and stay in the family home. Respondent must move out of the family home within 30 days of today's date.
Your Honor, will the court
That's
address child support today?
I was just going to turn to you and ask the state if, based on my rulings on the temporary orders, if there were any changes to the state's proposals for child support.
There's not. The kids are receiving TANF benefits, and that I know that is a little more complicated because the statute prohibits a residential credit when the children are receiving TANF benefits. Our proposed worksheets were filed November 13th. We used the father's actual income based on his September 29th wage stub, which he filed with the court. The mother has no employment security history, so we imputed her at minimum wage 32 hours per week. I do note that results in a transfer payment of $1,787 a month from father to essentially to the state of Washington, so long as mom remains on TANF. I do recognize, given your ruling, that may seem somewhat unequitable, but I'm not aware of an exception under the law, at least not in regards to a residential credit.
I do believe a residential credit would be appropriate, considering that they are going to be doing 50-50. And it is for 2 children. I also would request that she be imputed at 40 hours a week. There's absolutely no reason she can't work full time. My client certainly does, and he gets by.
And just briefly in reply, Your Honor, the statute, which I don't have in front of me right now, specifically says that a residential credit cannot be granted when a parent is receiving TANF. TANF is evidence that there's insufficient funds in the household to support the children. And then in terms of the mother's income, we followed the imputation statute, which indicates when there's no employment history and a parent is receiving TANF benefits, they're to be imputed at minimum wage 32 hours per week.
All right. I want to explain something to you guys and what is going on here. They're talking about TANF, which is temporary assistance for needy families, also known as government assistance and welfare that is paid by taxpayers. Here's how this typically works on the federal level. I'll do my best to explain it as simply as I possibly can. Then I'll have Ms. Coffee there make sure she covers some details I might have missed. But let's say you're married to a woman and you guys go through a divorce and you guys get 50-50 custody. If she decides to get government assistance because she cannot afford to provide for her kids, let's say she was a stay-at-home mom for whatever reason, and she starts receiving that government assistance, as soon as she gets granted that government assistance, she is relinquishing rights to her child support. So you get put on child support automatically, and your child support gets set to the maximum it possibly can be set to and gets paid to the state. Now, here's where things get ugly. Why a lot of people believe child support is a scam, right? Is they calculate your child support based on her having the kids full time, regardless of 50-50 custody. Your question is, why would they do that? Because they want to make sure that they're not losing money whatsoever and that they're recouping the maximum they possibly can. You might be thinking, oh, so she's getting close to $1,800. False. She only gets a couple of $100 per child. They have two, so it'll be about like maybe $600, $800. Now, if he's paying $1,800, you're wondering, well, what happens to the balance? They keep it. They keep it to make sure that they're recouping the maximum profit they can. Now, they won't call it profit, but that's what it is. And you got to remember, they're acting like she has the kids full time when they're calculating it, meaning he's also paying for when he has the kids, paying for their food, paying for the cost to maintain their upkeep, so on and so forth. So he's really paying more than the child support amount.
Here's what I'm going to do on this, because I don't have, I'm just looking through my papers diligently. Sometimes things get attached to the back of them.
We did not send over a proposed order.
Okay.
I was unsure where primary parent would land.
Understood. Let's do this because let's set this case to December 5 for presentation of the orders I've already ruled on, unless they get signed ahead of time. But it sounds like maybe if Ms. Petrie is arguing that there should be a residential credit, obviously the state's arguing the statute doesn't allow that. We'll set this on for a hearing as to child support on December 5th at 1 o'clock, along with presentation if that has not already been signed.
Okay.
And then certainly, Ms. Petrie, if you want to file briefing with the court, I'll give Judge Bassett a heads up that that issue's coming. But if you want to file any short briefing, feel free to do so. Any questions or clarifications on the temporary orders?
Yes, Your Honor. I would just ask that since the court is granting his petition to have me move within 30 days, given my circumstances of him leaving the home willingly and my pregnancy and having to relocate my other kids, including the ones I share with him, that at this time, I be given more than 30 days to find new residents. I know the petitioner had told me in person that he would extend it till January if it went this way, but I don't know what their feelings are on the matter.
What I'm going to do right now, and one of the reasons I'm making this ruling is I do think it's wholly inappropriate that for this court to have Mr. Lowe paying for household expenses when another adult is living in that marital house.
Busting your
So
cheeks.
I am going to keep the 30 days right now. But if Ms. Petrie wants to, if her client wants to work with Ms. Lowe on an extension of that, we can certainly add that to the order. I have no issue with the parties going beyond 30 days. I wouldn't agree to anything less than 30 days. I do think that 30 days to move out is sufficient. But again, if Mr. Lowe wants to agree to longer, feel free to put that in the order. I have no problem signing that.
Does Mr. Lowe look like he's about to give her an inch? Mr. Lowe said, I need to let my lawyer talk because if I get in front of this camera, we're going to have some problems.
Drink the coffee. It'll make you feel better.
Look at Mr. Lowe. Mr. Lowe says he's got to go and she's got to go as well.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you all. If there's no other questions, you all are free to log out.
As always, we're going to check out some of the comments, see what the people have to say. Top comment here says, 2 jobless, homeless people having a baby and wanting to depend on the ex. God help us all. Thank you, Judge. Aren't we grateful that this judge seems to drink just a little bit of coffee? Somebody else here responded says, indeed, I thought I misheard and tried to figure out what that woman dared ask. So absurd and bizarre. Here's somebody else who added to this comment and says she initiated the separation. That should not allow her to take advantage. There's another person who added, not surprised one bit. I've heard of worse. The entitlement coupled with total lack of accountability and responsibility among Western women is off the charts. Hence why marriage numbers have literally took a nosedive in recent years. Men are learning from other men's woes and rationally protecting themselves accordingly. Yeah, there are times where judges aren't blind when someone is out here clearly taking advantage of someone else. In this situation, we see exactly that. Here's another person who added, if the dad is taking care of the kids 50% of the time, why is he paying any child support at all? That's because she decided to get on government assistance, like I was explaining earlier. And just to make this a little bit more clear, let's go ahead and talk to our AI assistant barista, Ms. Coffee. She can go into more detail about this. Ms. Coffee, could you explain how government assistance affects child support?
All right, fellas, let's keep this real simple. Here's how the game is played. When a woman goes on government assistance, welfare, food stamps, cash aid, she's not just getting a check from the government. She's also signing over her child support rights to the state. That means when dad pays child support, he's not paying her, he's paying the government. Now here's the scam. Even if dad has his kids 50/50ths, the law blocks him from getting credit for it. Why? Because if the state gave him credit, they'd collect less money. So they pretend mom has the kids 100% of the time and bill dad at the maximum rate. So in this case, the dad's ordered to pay $1,800 a month. But think about it. He's also feeding his kids, clothing them, paying for school stuff, and covering expenses directly during his 50% custody. That means he's really paying way more than $1,800. Mom only sees her small welfare check, maybe $600, while the state pockets his whole child support payment as reimbursement. The kids don't see that extra money. The state does. And yes, this isn't just one state. This is standard across the country. Welfare and child support laws are linked at the federal level. It's not about fairness, it's about the government clawing back taxpayer money. Here's the brutal reality. If you choose to have kids with a woman who's broke, unwilling to work, or not financially stable, the system will make you the safety net. Even when you've got 50/50 its custody, you can still get hammered like you're a deadbeat. And don't get it twisted, the stay-at-home mom dynamic sounds nice in theory, but if things fall apart, the court will treat her as unemployable while treating you as the walking wallet. So be smart, fellas. Vet who you have kids with, because the law doesn't care if you're raising your kids. It only cares that you can pay.
All right, here's some more good advice. This commenter says he needs to get DNA tests on both kids he thinks are his. Yeah. Person here says yes. Here another person who says 100% agree. She has 3 different baby daddies. Somebody else here added free house, free utilities, free vehicle, 50/50 parenting time, and still wants more. Our system is broken beyond repairs. We have a female commenter here who says she only said he essayed her because the new boyfriend found out she and her husband were intimate. She's not fooling me. Ooh, there's that perspective. Hey, a woman would know, right? Here's somebody else who says he hired a great lawyer. She's worth every penny. Gentlemen, please, do not let this type of evilness, if you're able to, fight back legally. Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men, if you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link pinned to the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today.